Hi, it's Lynn with Soft Squares. I'm standing in front of my design wall where I have just created two crazy quilts. Let's talk about them. Okay, so this is the first one that I did. This is actually taken from a jelly roll scrap bag from Moda. So I did not have quite 2.5 inch pieces. Some of them were a little thinner. It had the salvage on it. And I purposefully made these different sizes. You can see they shrink. They're not consistent, and I did it on purpose. And just to kind of make it fun and give it some texture. And then I was done with all my pieces. And I still had some fabric to go. And so I found some fabric in my stash that is taupey, and I love it. And I put that on there and I finished it. So the process on this is I take a piece of fabric, it could be muslin, in my case I'm using a sheet, and I am sewing the pieces, excuse me, I am sewing the pieces directly to that cotton, to that fabric. And you don't have to do it that way, it's just a nice way to kind of keep track of where you're going. And I liked it. So some people will put batting in there because it is a quilt as you go technique. I want to quilt these, and so I'm going to put batting behind this, and then the backing like a traditional quilt. You could put your batting in there. You still would want to quilt it because this is not a pretty back. I promise. Anyway, so that is this one. I'm really happy. To me it looks like candy corn, like the fall candy corn, like with the brown and the orange and the white, and it ended up being kind of cone shape. It just took on a life of its own, and that's the shape I ended up with. My husband's calling it fall vortex. And I like whatever is happening. Tell me if you guys think which one you like, fall vortex or candy corn. I think I'm gonna name it one of those, unless you give me another good name, so let me know, but that's cool. This one right here is taken from the Kimberbell Halloween line. This was a jelly roll. It was almost a little over half of a jelly roll. I took out singles of all of the pieces in the jelly roll and found out after it's all said and done that there's 2 pieces I left out. Didn't mean to, but it could have gone a little bit bigger and still used just one piece. Anyway, the Pre-Cuts Quilt Shop sent out a box in August, and it had Halloween fabric and a pattern, and she included some extra large pieces to go with the pattern to complete what that pattern called for. So I've decided to turn it into this and use those larger pieces here as my outside. It's still following the concept of these being strippy versus this being a background, and I like it. I did have to piece some of them together, but because this reads as a solid, it's not that easy to see, and it's going to be all quilted, and I really am liking how that turned out. And tell me if you see this. Let's see if it's going this way. Oh, it might be the other way. For a while, oh yeah, it's upside down, but for a while this was looking like a coffin, but like upside down. So if I turned it, you might see it more, but just the shape of this was looking like like a coffin, an old coffin, which is funny. Anyway, so that's that. Now, what I'm doing is I'm just making these smaller quilts as a good throw blanket. It could be wall hanging, could be baby blanket, it could be for a wheelchair. These do not have to be the size that they end up at. This is just what I used for piecing with these. I am more than likely going to leave this one like this. I like it. And this one I think I'll add to it, which is why I kept about 19 of my strips out of the jelly roll, so I can maybe do a solid and then a strippy border or the binding or a secondary project like a pillow, something on the smaller side. It won't quite go as far as this, but there's a lot of fabric left. But that just goes to show that if you had something this size and you had a full jelly roll to play with, I do think that this would have been completely filled in, and I have every intention of making another one and trying that out. But I think I'm done with this project for now. and I'm going to move on to some other UFOs, but I have 2 more sheets this size that I can make 2 more of. So if I get around to those, I will definitely cue you in on those. Now, I don't want you to let you know, I just dropped off, I think 12 quilts to my quilter. And then I've got several here that I'm going to quilt myself on my handy quilter, and these are also going to be done on that. So as they get done, we're going to do a show and tell, and you'll get to see these and all the quilts I've been working on this last year finished. So I'm excited to get to that point where I can show you what's going on with those. So it might not be until the finished video when you see if I've done more of these. But anyway, just in case you're curious, the size of this, I believe it's 39 by 49. But let me double check. Yeah, this is 39 by 49, and it was just a nice size. What it is it was a fitted king sheet, and the elastic didn't work, and so I just decided to use it in my sewing room. And I was able, after I cut the elastic part off in the corners because it was the fitted sheet, I had a nice big surface, and I was able to get 4 of these from that. And I still have a lot of big pieces of the white I can use other ways, but this was perfect for this project. So anyway, sheets are handy for a lot of different things. All right, let me show you how I made these. that, I think it looks like a fall candy corn. The one that has the chocolate and the orange and the white. And it's kind of cone shaped, so it kind of looks like a candy corn. But it just turned into what it was. I had no plan. It just became that shape. What were you calling this?
An autumn vortex.
Oh, I like that.
Autumn vertigo. Kind of like the Hitchcock movie with the spinny thing at the beginning.
The spinny. I haven't seen the Hitchcock movie in a while.
That's probably not a very good name for it. Autumn vertigo. But autumn vortex or the candy corn, both of those work.
That's pretty cool. So I had basically a scrap bag from Moda, and the scraps were part of a jelly roll, and they were not quite 2.5 inches. They all had to salvage on it. So some were 2.5, most of them were 2, some of them were thinner. And I tried to offset the sizes by just kind of throwing them on there random. I'm going to make a true scrappy quilt next, where I'm going into my stash and using bigger, chunkier pieces and see if I can come up with something there. But that's why this is a lot of strips and looks the way it does. I guess that's a better angle for us all. I think I'm going to leave it right like that. I'm not even going to put a border on it because I like the fact that it's coming off the side over here. Just finish it and call it good. I like it. What do you think? I want to play with this fabric. This fabric actually came out of one of my boxes, subscription boxes, and I already made a quilt using this, more of a traditional quilt, and I think this would be fun to do this. And then I also like the fact that there's some bigger pieces, because I'd like to try to incorporate bigger pieces, bigger chunks. And then as I get to the edges, like I did with the last one, I don't have enough in the jelly roll to completely fill the whole thing, but I'll put black on the outside or see what's going on. Maybe these big pieces will end up out there. I don't think so. I want to incorporate these. So that one's doubled. So there's actually quite a bit of the bigger pieces. And for a scrap quilt, this is perfect because it's all going to get cut up anyway, but I do have some width. So these are with the fabric for both of these, as well as this one. There's my width of fabric, and then these two seem to be the same size. Okay, so I've got that, and then I have this jelly roll. And now we're gonna make, a crazy quilt. And basically that means I don't have a plan. And I don't need a plan. But what I am going to do is find the center, which I've done. Move these out of the way. Here's my center. Right there. And then I'm going to take 2 pieces. And my goal is to try not to put 2 of the same print or fabric next to each other. Sorry, print or color. In some cases it might still be close together, like, who knows, these 2, even though they have the, I want to say it's a dark purple, they're different. So anyway, we'll see. But the point is I need 2 different pieces to start out in the middle, and I have a lot of options here. And I want this one and this one. remember to stay away from the selvage. And just so I don't forget, I don't usually forget, but I'm just gonna take it off right now. And then I want, we start out with 2 and then build from there. So I think I'm gonna do some bigger pieces. Why not? That's just how I decided to do that one. There's no real way to cut it. Look at all the lint pieces, fuzzies from the pinked edges. So first thing, we're going to put these 2 face down and put it, there's my center, somewhere around the center. I'm going to pin it because by the time I feed this into my machine, it has a chance to move because we are starting in the middle and working out versus near an edge. And all I'm going to do is just stitch across the top. Now I'm not worried about a 1/4 of an inch foot. There we go. Now we're off. And now what's left is to just start going around it in any shape that you want, with any piece of fabric that you want. And you can even trim it down or put on so it's skinnier. So I'm not trying to make like log cabin where it's blocky and square. So I think I'm going to actually put this first piece like, oh, let's see, I forgot to cut this off. Some of these pieces you just can't see the selvage. I should go through the whole roll and get rid of it right now. All right, so if I do this, then we start our off-center idea. So what you do is the right sides together, okay? So I'm putting it right here. I'm going to sew, and then I know when I peel this back, this is what it's going to look like. You always want to make sure you're catching everything you expect to underneath it. And then when it comes time to cutting it off, I'm trying to decide what I want to do. I actually think I'm going to go more this way. So when I do this side, it has something to hook onto versus here where it's going to miss. Did that make any sense to you at all? Anyway, I'm just going to overhang this a little bit. Pin it. Now, you don't have to be precise. Meaning you don't have to pin it. Main thing is you don't want it to wiggle. You don't want it to find its a new spot and then have to unpick it. So I don't know. It's probably easier to cut this afterwards, but I don't want to deal with it right now. Okay, so notice I only had sewn to the edge of what's below it, even though my fabric overlaps. If I can help it, I don't want to continue out there because you need to go back and erase this bulk. Cut it off. And right here, because I have a seam that goes up there, I'm not going to be able to cut as close. So if you can prevent the seams from interfering with your trimming, it just makes it so there's less bulk. So for now, I'll just, I don't need that pin. Remove what I can. But with it being sewn down, it actually won't be as big of a problem, but it still would be bulk. And if you have a lighter fabric, you're going to see it. Okay. On to the next piece. And now I don't care. I mean, orientation, direction, none of that matters anymore other than changing it up. Kind of like that. Although I don't want, I want to end up with at least 5 sides. I don't want to end up with a box that's on an angle. Oh, that could be cool. See, I could do you follow what I'm doing right here? I could make boxes and turn everything on its side. I haven't thought of that before. I haven't done that before. That might be kind of interesting. No, I want to just be random and scrappy. So this one I am gonna, anyway, I'm just gonna keep playing with it. And you can line it up whenever you want to. Right now I'm just trying to come up with some variety. Now again, I want to make sure my fabric goes as far as the edge of all the pieces underneath it. And then when you pin it back, sometimes you need to make sure what's going on over here is long enough too. So if you have it cut on a straight or even a little extra, that would be good, because when I come to put a piece up here, you don't want it to end, anyway, you don't want it to cause some problems. Although the way I'm doing it, it's random, so usually you can work your way through those problems. I am not back stitching with any of these. I'm just starting to sew and getting thin, because it's going to get the seams locked in because I'm crisscrossing going over top of them all. And if you want to see what the back looks like, it's quite hard to tell right now, but you're just going to see the stitching that is going to be completely hidden. Now I need to get rid of, crease right there. I need to get rid of this. Now I'm not doing log cabin style, meaning I have to go around in a circle or the same direction. I am going to mix it up, and maybe I will go back this way. See how that lines up right there? You can make it longer, but that's what my goal was, is next time I go this way, it needs to catch this. So that's why you don't want this one to be shorter. And if you make it longer, you just trim it. But this is how I'm gonna get the most out of my fabric, although there's gonna be a lot of scraps. It just happens. So now this ends right here, but we are eventually going to come down here. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this to here. And then I'll deal with that when I'm finally over there. left over from that. See all these jelly roll pieces? There's several pieces of strips that I cut into, but there's like 18 full strips here. Probably the equivalent of 2 or 3 more strips with these pieces. And then there's still pieces of the backing fabric, and then a couple other just small substantial pieces that I'm holding on to. So there's a lot here I can do something with. So there will be a second project, or this is going to be bigger. But I thought I'd show you how much I had left over.